Okay, so welcome to Monday. Tonight we're going to be talking about standardization. As I said, actually I didn't say it in the news event there, but we're talking about standardization as part of a bigger issue in globalization, and that's common pitfalls, mistakes, or errors that companies make when they go global. They don't take into account different cultural differences, different standards of living, different just things that are different in other areas of the world when they go international with products or services. Today, however, we're just going to be talking about standardization and how we come up with those standards. Okay. Also, I'll mention right now, or remind you all that we have a test on Wednesday, so you're all expected to be here on Wednesday. I'll be posting a review probably in about 45 or 50 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe an hour. But for the Unit 2 test, it'll just have some point form, again, like last time, things to make sure to look at. Really, all of Unit 2 is going to be included on the test, so don't really leave out anything, but Unit 2 wasn't too big. And I'll give some sample questions as well as an outline of the test. Okay. The Unit 1 test, I think it went all right, but my mistake was probably not giving a word bank, I think, for some of you guys on the fill in the blanks portion. So I'll probably include that if I have any of that this time. It's mostly going to be multiple choice and true and false though. I also want to mention on Wednesday we had Kahoot at the end of class, and I was a little disappointed having only 7 people log in and 5 of them were sitting here in the classroom with me. So I'm hoping next time that I announce something like that going on. All of you are supposed to be logged in anyway at that time. I think we did it at about 25 after 8 that night. I posted the game at 8:15. And by 25 after 8, we only had 7 people logged in. And as I said, most of them were sitting in here in the classroom with me. So, yeah, I don't know who else watching the lessons or looking at the news events, but I was, that wasn't for marks. But one of these times I'm going to have to make it for marks. So we get everybody's participation. I posted a link to the quiz, the Kahoot quiz, in today's news, or in one of today's news posts, just so you have access to those questions. But I probably won't always do that either, because I like to use some of those questions sometimes on tests or quizzes. So, it'd be good for you to participate in those as well. Anyway, okay, I'm going to get on with the lesson here. Again, as I always say, make sure to use the class chat at the bottom of the homepage there. Okay, here we go. Problems with standards. Okay, so first of all, in Chapter 7, like I said, we talk a lot about pitfalls or common mistakes that international businesses can make. So today we're just going to be talking about standards, differing standards between countries. But make sure when we have this supplementary textbook that you are looking at or reading along when I give pages of the textbook to read, because there is some information in there that isn't just supplementary to the lessons, but some of it can also be included on tests and quizzes. Typically, it's just short little passages that I have you read. Like, for instance, today is only about 4 pages that I want you to go over in the textbook. But for the most part, we're going to cover all that in this lesson as well. And as usual, I will be posting the lesson along with the video. Tonight, there are 1 or 2 YouTube links and a couple of attached videos to go along with the lesson. They're just sort of supplementary as well to help get the point across, but I won't play them. I won't play them tonight while I'm doing the lesson. I'll post the lesson and leave those up to you to watch on your own time, just so the audio and video is a little better for those of you at home. Okay, so to start, just want to mention this paragraph here. I left it right on the slide. Just that an inconvenient and costly error is the assumption that all countries use the same standards. This is a mistake that many companies make when choosing to go global with their business. Many countries have entirely different codes and principles from those that are in Canada. If a product does not meet consumer expectations, they'll be rejected, the business will fail. So businesses need to make sure to do their research, to do their due diligence and examine the standards long before a product reaches its market. And that's not just standards in the products themselves. When we're talking about ingredients and production standards, labeling standards, we're talking about also ethical standards, standards within different governments, labor standards, those types of things as well. Nutritional requirements. Okay, so some questions that companies need to ask themselves. What products have standards? What countries have higher standards than others? Does Canada run into problems with standards of their products? How do you avoid problems with other countries' standards from the viewpoint of the country, or sorry, of the company? And what happens if a product does not meet the standards of a country? So a large market in a country enables an importer to deal with reliable international firms whose factories can make products to local standards. Importers must have trained technical staff and service centers to make sure the product meets the standards of the customers. So we've got a spelling error there. So first, we're talking about production standards. Parveen, can you do me a favor and press play on the news there and make sure that I'm sharing this properly? Just press play on the live stream. You have to refresh that. Okay, so for production standards, any importer or exporter of television-related entertainment systems needs to be aware of the different standards for each country. This example is quite dated, but it is an example nonetheless in the entertainment industry. For example, British videotapes will not play in Canadian VCRs. Yeah, good. And I'm guessing most of you don't even have VCRs at home any longer. So we've got electrical standards. So plugs and voltages are different worldwide. If any of you have traveled overseas to Europe or Australia or any Asian countries, different voltages, they have different voltages in the wall outlets there. So you need converters. So the household standard in Canada is 120 volt electrical current. A lot of you know this already. Denmark or most areas of Europe uses 220 volts, whereas Great Britain is 230, which is different again. So countries also have different plug-in configuration as well. I've got a picture here of converter that I carry with me when we travel overseas. I don't use it so much, but so my wife can plug in her hairdryer. Charge your cell phone. Sizing, clothing or shoe sizes vary. For example, size 10 jeans in Canada are a size 77 in Korea. Even though a garment manufactured elsewhere may technically be the same size as the Canadian standard, the tailoring standard in the other nation may require a much tighter fit around the hips or a fuller cut in the back. So even if you do a conversion from a size 10 to a size 77, that doesn't mean that the fit will look the same either. We have, when we're talking about different standards, we're also talking about cultural differences and difference in the actual market itself, different body types and sizes, and just things are different. Medical standards. Medications must meet country certification. So there's an example here. In Mexico, you can purchase steroids over the counter legally. A form of HGH, or human growth hormone, is available in the United States, but it's banned here in Canada. That's a big one. This was about clothing sizes. Here's a picture of Birkenstock. Costs probably $90 Canadian, but you buy some of these in Germany for about 20 euros. And those of you familiar with European sizing, I think its size is probably 34 through 50 something. I think a size 10 men is around a 42 UK, or yeah, UK size. So that's why we have the International Organization for Standardization, or the ISO. They establish technical standards for products worldwide that everyone needs to follow and adhere to. You can read about this in your textbook, chapter 7.2. I think it starts around page 224, that section of the textbook. But the ISO, something I want to make sure everyone is familiar with, the International Organization for Standardization, I think is maybe page 225, 226, but anyway, it's in there. So have a look at that section of the textbook. Okay, everyone must meet these standards. The Standards Council of Canada is the Canadian, who creates the Canadian standards for different products and services in Canada. They represent us at the ISO board. Toy safety, water quality, window glass, and insulation are some of the products that have been standardized. So why don't they just do this with all products? Here I've got, this is actually a YouTube video here on Chinese toy safety standards. As you know, many of the products can be made much more economically over in China, mass manufactured. So if you flip over a lot of toy products or look at the tags as well, you'll notice that you'll see that made in China label. This is a link to a YouTube video here that I'll let you watch on your own at home, just showing a bunch of, it's just sort of a collection of news media talking about different recalls and issues with the differences in standards in toy production in Canada when they bring them overseas, or sorry, toy production in China when they bring them overseas and they don't meet Canadian and the United States standards. There's another video on here as well that you can actually watch right from the slideshow that talks about the toys and standardization in China, that they're not meeting a lot of the safety standards. And most of us have heard of the issues of lead paint used in toys made in China or manufactured in China coming over into North America. So we've had recalls and boycotts on a lot of, and these are toys that are made in China or manufactured in China, but are made by popular toy brands based out of North America or United States, like Mattel. And then Johnny Switchblade. I actually had a video of this, and it's no longer, I can't link to it anymore. It was a Saturday Night Live skit. I thought it was pretty funny. So if you can search Johnny Switchblade somewhere, it's a Dan Aykroyd sketch from probably 1990 something, but I thought it was funny. And this is the video that I said. So you can watch this on your own as well. So we've got the link right there to Chinese toy safety standards on YouTube. And then this toy standards video here is a separate video. You can watch that with most media programs on Windows. Okay, ethical standards next. So this is the degree to which companies do the morally responsible thing or not, in the view of those of us here at home. Sorry. Okay, so what may be some things? Oh, sorry. This is a question. What may be some things that companies do that have ethical connotations? So we're talking about different probably labor standards, child labor, animal testing, those types of things there that definitely could have some ramifications and cause boycotts and different issues like that for companies. We also have fair trade and ethical responsibility to be thinking about as consumers as well as global businesses. So to save money, some companies import from or invest in foreign factories with standards that are different from our own. Maybe a little more lax in their pollution control efforts or labor standards. And low quality in manufacturing may not meet Canadian standards as well. It's using cheaper quality products, ingredients, and parts. So why go to another country to make products then? So as I said, child labor, using underage workers and exploiting them to harsh conditions. Product testing on animals. Companies will test products which may hurt or kill animals. The cosmetics industry was big for that. Of course, the drug industry. Low health and safety standards, lacking proper facilities and equipment for workers. Environmentally destructive behavior. So environmentally friendly production is very expensive. Therefore, companies move to countries with lower standards. I think I've already showed a couple of videos on that about burning computers in Ghana. Corrupt governments taking bribes to exploit people or places. And I've got a video here too. It's actually an excerpt from a Michael Moore documentary that he put out that is pretty good about Nike. So you can have a look at that on your own. Boycotts. We all know what boycotts are already. So as the media presents these ideas, the public doesn't buy products or they begin to boycott these companies. So boycotts, of course, are when there's public outcry about whether it be ethical issues or not simply differences in standards, but usually there's ethical connotations behind the reasons for boycotts. But typically, if there's a boycott put on your company or your products, you definitely have to go on damage control. So this is another reason why having a close look at standardization and doing your due diligence is very important. I put a link here to a list of top 10 famous boycotts over the years. This list was posted, as you can see here in the link, in 2011, but it's a pretty comprehensive list anyway. It's pretty good, but you can have a look at that on your own. So that is pretty much it for today about standardization. Like I said, make sure to read chapter 7.2 of your textbook, beginning on page 224. Yeah, and I said 224 to 228, so it's only 5 pages there of text. Not a lot of reading to do, but make sure to have a look at that. I've already posted the Unit 2 Activity 9 activity on Desire to Learn. There's only one assignment there, pretty simple, about international standards, International Organization for Standardization. And a reminder again about the test on Wednesday covering all of the Unit 2 material. All of you are expected to be here on Wednesday. If there's an issue, you can't be here, please let me know in advance. Otherwise, I'm expecting full attendance on Wednesday. Yeah, and really the test I'm expecting to be done in under an hour for pretty well everybody. Okay, so that's about it for today. Have a great night. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll post I'll be sharing the review in, as I said, about an hour from when we started, so probably about 8:30. I'll make sure to have that up. If you're here in the classroom, I'll hand out hard copies of that. Okay, but like I said last time too, with reviews, don't just use it as a checklist and just check off what you know. Use that as a guide. If I do say, know the 4 areas of the innovation process, know the 4 areas of the innovation process. Okay, those are important things. Okay, that's about it. Have a good night.